I'm glad we're in the air ducts. The acoustics in here are perfect for spoilers.
What's up guys, TssXD here, and I gotta tell you, I've been, my allergies have been acting up, and you wanna know why? The one time I need to sneeze. The one time I need to
Go. Freak is you looking at?
It's because I'm allergic to spoilers. But anyways, with that cringe intro aside, that is a big hawk. Thumbo flipper is huge. It may not look big from over here, but like, that guy is huge. Like he's bare minimum, like 1.5 feet tall or something. Let's see how close I can get to him while I'm flying away. He's gonna fly away eventually. I'm just gonna see how close I can get until he does. There he goes. To infinity and beyond. Anyways, cringe intros and birds aside, I'm not gonna lie, it'd be really symbolic if it was a vulture, because SpiderMan, but it wasn't, it was just a hawk. I wonder if there's a hawk villain. I mean, if there is, insert here, but I doubt it. Anyways, this is gonna be less of a full review and more of a semi-review and things I really liked about the movie. So, let's begin. As you do, starts right after Far From Home, but those parts are boring. All you need to know is Peter Parker has been bailed out as Spider-Man, well not bailed out, but been exposed to be Spider-Man, and then he goes out in the crowd, gets his girlfriend, because that one girl was like, oh, you're Spider-Man's girlfriend, I will not harass you. Then this other guy's like, hey, I want to grab his leg, and he smacked the hood of the car, so that was pretty damn funny. Anyways, skip along I think 5-6 minutes or something. They get into the apartment, then he gets turned in, because you're like, oh, the drones, you summoned the drones, and he's like, but they were Tony's drones, that you now control, and he's like, but things, lawyer, and then doesn't matter, you can skip that. Going later on to the apartment, this is I think about 15 minutes into the movie, you meet Matt Murdock's Charlie Cox Matt Murdock, there you go, I got it right. I never saw the Netflix show, at all.
You suck!
The only Netflix show I ever saw, I think, was Punisher, and I think I saw 2 episodes of it, so looking at Daredevil come back, I'm just like, okay, I really like him in comics, but I don't really know much about the Netflix version, so I'm just like, pretty cool, I guess. For everyone else, they were like, oh my god, it's that one guy that's blind, wow! Some people are probably gonna dislike already, they're like, how dare you insult Charlie Cox, he's my stan. My stan? I think you mean you stand them, you idiot! But anyways, apart from that, afterwards, he did this really cool thing where someone threw a brick in the window and he's like, oh, I'm blind, but I can block things because echolocation. And Peter's also like, but I was gonna grab that. How'd you do that? So that was a little cool moment. Anyways, afterwards, skip a couple of things. Peter goes to the Sanctum Sanctorum and he's like, Mr. Strange? And he's like, we saved the world together. I think we're a little past, Mr. Strange. He's like, okay, Steven.
I'm really sorry to bother you, sir, but...
Please, safe to have the universe together. I think we're beyond you calling me sir.
Okay, Steven.
That feels weird, but I'll allow it.
Anyways, after that, goes into all the scenes, we're in the trailers, and he's like, Mysterio revealed my identity, and we should make it, and she never did. And he's like, okay.
Oh no, super easy, barely an inconvenience. Great.
Okay. One thing I didn't like, though, kind of, is that they had a deleted scene that was in all the trailers where they're like, oh, the Wong was like, Strange, don't do that spell, it's dangerous. And you're like, okay. Well, in this one, it was just completely deleted, so it was a little less, what's the word, not dramatic, but a little less costly. He's just like, okay, I guess I'll do it. And Peter's like, really? And he's like, but sure, why not? Then they go into his basement, that's totally just a basement and nothing more. Nothing more.
Yes, it's
just a basement.
And nothing else.
Anyways, afterwards, they start doing the spell and Strange is like, whoa, freaking, magic spells and stuff. And he's like, oh, but wait a minute, I want my girlfriend to remember. He's like, fine, I'll allow it. I mean, he's like, but wait a minute, my best friend. And he's like, fine, I'll allow it. And then he's like, but also my aunt. And he's like, you freaking dingus. So the spell explodes pretty much, but then he brings it back because he's Doctor Strange. And then he's like, the freak just happened. He's like, you freaking dumb idiot, kid, stupid. And afterwards, after all that, he's like, now everyone who knows Peter Parker Spider-Man is coming into this dimensions, and you gotta freaking stop him, you dingus.
No, dingus. You're a dingus!
After that spell, turns out, he's like, what the frick happened? You changed my spell 6 times, you freaking dingus! And he's like, oh, what happens now? And they basically kicks him out of the sanctum.
When you say convince them, you mean I could have called them?
Yeah.
I could do that.
You haven't called the...
Well, I got their letter and I assumed that was...
I'm sorry. Are you telling me that you didn't even think to plead your case with them first before you asked me to brainwash the entire world?
Well, when you put it like that, then...
Obviously, more things happen afterwards, but we don't need to know anything about that now. Later on, Peter's just vibing, and he's like, gosh dang it, but what about my friends, though? They want to get into college, but I can't because, that they don't like Spider-Man. So he goes onto the bridge, the famous bridge scene, not the 9/11, but... Okay, that's not even a good joke, because it wasn't even the same accident. But anyways, they go into the bridge, the famous bridge that was literally every single trailer ever, and he finds the MIT person, and he's like, hey man, I'm Peter Parker.
Peter Parker?
You know, my friends, they're pretty cool. You want to let them into college? And she's like, I don't know, man. You know, I don't really like your face. Then Doc Ock comes out of nowhere and he's like, hello, PP.
Hello, PP.
Afterwards, you know, after the whole big bridge fight, I may insert some clips here if I can get them. If not, I'll probably get copyrighted anyway. So after that bridge fight, you know, he saves the MIT person, right? He brings them back up on the bridge with Doc Ock's tentacles because the nanotech, he can also control it. So I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty cool. Like when Doc Ock was like, "You're freaking obey me, not him," and Peter was just like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh." He was literally doing things like this.
Hey! Listen to me! No, not him! Me!
You may consider it kind of goofy, on the execution, but I liked it. I kind of enjoyed it. You know, it was pretty good for what it was worth. So he brings him back on the bridge, and Doc Ock gets teleported. I think I'm not gonna lie, I forgot. He disappears. Then Green Goblin comes out of nowhere, and he's like freaking ha ha ha.
Goblins!
Skip all that. Eventually, the woman in the car, MIT person, she's like, okay, I'll accept your friends, and I'll think about getting you. You're like, this isn't about me. Stop being modest, you dingus. I'm thinking about you too. Then Green Goblin comes out, and he's like, oh no, bombs. They go back to the sanctum. Peter's over there talking with Otto, and he's like, Otto's like, where am I? Is this freaking magic? And Peter's like, you could say that, or something like that. And he's, eventually, all you gotta know is, eventually, Dr. Strange tells him, you gotta catch the rest of them. Here's this magical web shooter, go catch other people. Turns nighttime, Peter has a freaking flippin' phone taped to his chest, because of course he does. He goes out at night, he finds Electro, which I'm not gonna lie, in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, as everyone says, he didn't really look that cool. The one thing I did like about Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2 though, is that he was blue. I know that wasn't comic accurate, blue is my favorite color, and you know, everyone knows blue fire looks cooler than orange fire, so it works the same with lightning. Blue lightning looks way cooler than yellow lightning. It's even technically stronger, because in the terms of like, heat-wise, blue fire, like I said, is hotter, so blue electricity would be more powerful, stronger. Yeah, it doesn't matter what I'm trying to say. Essentially, I like blue better than yellow, but you know, eventually yellow's coming back. They made him look less ugly in this movie, so that's pretty cool. Electro's like, I like power grids. You, yes, power. And Peter's like, yeah, are you from another universe? And he's like, I don't know. Then essentially, he shoots a web at him, he gets teleported, and then Sandman's like, the freak did you do to him? He's like, don't worry, just trust me. And he's like, I'm evil. And then he shoots him too, and he's like, gosh dang it, he got me, oof. And then he goes back to the sanctum, and he's like, hey, Mr. Strange, I got most of them. And then Strange is like, hey, I got this little decahedron, or whatever it's called. He's like, I'm gonna send them back to the universe. And Peter's like, no, they're gonna freaking die, man, you can't do that. So eventually Peter's like, you know, I like your face, I don't like that box, and goes, give me the box, man. I would do this, but my pinky doesn't like extending, so shut up. Anyways, he gets the box, he runs out of the sanctum. Then one of the coolest fights in the film happens. Strange is like, hey, you don't want to do this? And he's like, yes. And then he swings away, then Strange pulls him back, knocks his little soul out of his body, and for some reason, his body can still move, so that was kind of cool. I'm assuming it's because, like, some, you know, spider sense type thing. That was pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, afterwards, eventually, Strange passes him on into the mirror dimension, which was, like, the coolest scene. I mean, the final battle, I'm not gonna lie, the final battle, which I'll get to, you know, eventually, was really cool, but the mirror dimension scene, definitely close second, 100%. Anyways, in the mirror dimension, doing all these, you know, cool little flips and things, and Strange is like, you can't have the box, and he's like, but we have to try and save them. He's like, if they die, they die. Like, literally, he had no remorse at all. If he dies, he dies, type mentality.
If he dies, he dies.
Oh my god, when it comes to the greater scheme of the universe, I can't blame him, but at the same time, you know, Doc Ock was pretty cool. Eventually, Peter's like, hey, I know how to win this fight, freaking math. He's like, this is just geometry. And he does some freaking cool web zip lines. He's like, freaking pew, 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 pew. You know, as, you know, Ryan George says, super easy, barely an inconvenience. And he's like, haha, you dummy, you may be smart, but I know geometry. And, you know, he webs him up. Then he was literally suspended above the Grand Canyon for 12 hours. 12 hours! You're telling me the freaking Sorcerer Supreme, technically in this movie Wong was, but shut up. You're telling me the Sorcerer Supreme was trapped there for 12 hours? You couldn't do anything? Anyway, eventually you go back and Peter's like, I can freaking save you peoples. Afterwards he goes to the feast facility, he goes to meet Green Goblin, and he's like, something, voice into my head, something, I need home, something, Oscorp doesn't exist. Also, the Hawk is back. Anyhow, eventually he brings them all together into a little apartment, because of course he's like, I'm gonna fix you guys. I got this little 3D printer technology thing where I can, you know, fix things for you guys. He makes a new chip for Doc Ock, puts it in his spinal cord, and he's like, don't touch me, you dingus.
I swear, when I get out of this, we're gonna rip you a new joint. Doc? 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 Doc, take me. It's so quiet. Those voices inside my head. I'd almost forgotten.
and you know, he's healed, and he's like, oh my gosh, guys, thank you, wow, I can finally not hear voices anymore. It's like the voices. Probably getting way too hype here. Afterwards, you know, he does the same thing for Electro. He gives him an arc reactor to control his power. Because if you know, the main problem in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was, you know, he couldn't control his energy, which is why, you know, he needed to, you know, expand and stuff like that. To be honest, the way he acted in Amazing Spider-Man 2 was much more like, I think his name was like Zax, or like Zap, whatever his name was. This was this dude that was literally, you know, fully energy. In the comics, Electro, this guy who can control lightning, but Zax, I'm pretty sure is his name, is literally like living energy. So he was much more like that. Once that happens, Peter's like, I don't know, he's just like, my spider sense is tingling, my freaking Peter tingle's doing a thing, and he's like, May, and you're like, ooh, something's gonna happen. Everyone's getting hype, and you see Goblin on nowhere. I think he had like a knife or some crap, and he's like, freaking got you, man. You're not gonna do that. Then Electro's like, I don't really like your face either. Then he blasts Doc Ock out the window because stuffing things. Green Goblin starts fighting Peter. I'm not gonna lie, that was a really cool fight. Mostly because you forget how stupidly strong Green Goblin is. Because you realize if you go back to the movie, you realize he's like basically a super soldier, and you kind of forget that. So you see him fighting Spider-Man, you're like, Spider-Man should win easily. No, not really. So that's why in the comics and things, it's such a compelling battle. After the fight, he throws a pumpkin bomb and stuff, and he brings his glider in. Essentially, all you need to know is it hit May. It didn't look like a killer, but apparently a killer. And you know, mostly because I didn't care about her character, I'm like, oh, that's kind of sad, man. But I really got the feels when Peter was like, you know, he didn't capture the full emotion of somebody who comes in later. But you know, watching that, I was just like, damn, bro. But she was so hot though. After that, Peter's on top of the roof. He's being sad and he's why so glum, chum? He's being sad and things. You switch the camera angles to MJ and Ned, and he's like, oh, I freaking poor Peter and stuff. They actually don't know. But MJ's like, I'm gonna press the box, I'm gonna send them back, I'm tired of the crap. And Ned's like, but let me raise you this one. I know magic now. And everyone in the movie's like, the freak?
I beg your pardon? I beg your pardon.
And he's like, oh, it's in my family or something. And you're like, okay, I guess that makes sense. And he's like, freaking show me Peter, freaking Snoop Dogg thing. He's like, show me Peter Parker. Then he opens a portal. And there's a reason I'm smiling right now. My boy, the man himself, the myth, the legend, your mom. He's finally back. I should have made it your dad from the gas station joke. He's finally back. They finally bring Andrew back through the portal. And it's so cool. Because for some reason, I mean, I get they don't have, they you know, they can't spend time on all the reasons, but explain to me, if you've seen the movie, why is Andrew just standing in an alley? He was literally just standing in an alley, doing nothing. And when he opened the portal, he's like, hey, Peter, come here, Peter. And he's like, okay. He just runs to the portal, and he's like, hey, guys, I'm here now. You're not freaking Peter, your suit is different. But he's like, but I take off my mask, I'm Peter Parker. And I'm just like, who the freak are you? You look like 40. That's a very in-joke, because Andrew Garfield is, you know, getting up there in age now, which is real sad. But anyways, she's like, you're not freaking Peter. And she's like, freaking, she starts throwing crap at him. And I'm like, but why though? And she's like, prove it. And he's like, okay. He jumps, and he sticks to the ceiling. And she's like, I still don't believe you. He's like, I still don't really trust you. And she's like, crawl up on the ceiling. He's like, I don't really think I need to do that. I'm pretty sure it's obvious. He's like, but just do it. And then, you know, Ned's grandma comes out of nowhere, and she's like, can you get the spider web? And he's like, fine. He grabs his mask in his mouth because, you know, kinky and stuff. Crawls on the ceiling, gets rid of the spider web, jumps down. You're like, I guess you are Spider-Man. Despite the fact you had, you know, the entire suit and could stick to walls. I guess you are Spider-Man. Then he opens another portal because he's like, that's the wrong Peter. He's like, show me Peter. Then Toby pops in. I'm not gonna lie. While Andrew is my favorite, you know, Toby walking in is just like, yes, you know, it's just the coolness. He walks in and he looks like he's like freaking 50. He's like, hey everyone, like the scene from, you know, Spider-Man 1. He's like, how did we know they were stick to get here? Anyways, essentially, the moment he sees Andrew, I feel like it's only because they've never met each other in film that they're like, hey, let's make a freaking fight. And Toby's like, freaking, that's my suit. Essentially, Andrew's like, what the frick are you? Shoots a web on him, Toby shoots a web on him. I don't know how the freaking happens. I don't know if he did a flip or Andrew got flipped, but he did like a whole freaking somersault in the air and he lands back down. And he's like, maybe you are Spider-Man too. And he's like, both of you guys are Spider-Man, both of you guys are Peter. He's like, yes, we be the Peters. And they're eventually, anyways, alright, I'm really bad at explaining things. But anyways, afterwards what happens is, they're like, I had a place where I used to hang out. I used to hang out on the freaking, I know for a fact Andrew was the Empire State. Toby was like, it was somewhere, it was on the top of somewhere. And they're like, where does Tom like to hang out? And it's on the school. Then they go to meet Tom, and Tom's like, you guys aren't from this universe, so I don't really like your face. I'm gonna go kill the Goblin. And Toby's like, well, we have to cure their faces first. And she's like, no, I'm gonna kill the Goblin. Anyway, eventually you keep going, right? You move on forward with the movie. Eventually what happens is, they move to the Statue of Liberty, and he's like, hey, New York, and J.K. Simmons is like, freaking, what do you want, you freaking menace, you evil. I sent those pretty evil people there, you know, it wasn't cool of me, but you know, I'm kinda gonna need your help now. So eventually, or essentially, all it was to do was to, you know, get the villains to go to the Statue of Liberty, where they can all, you know, cure them. Everyone comes in, you know, they get into the big fight that was on all the trailers. It was pretty cool because they all swung. I'm like, freaking, that's my boy right there, that's my boy! You know, Andrew Stan here, I'm sorry, but you know, Amazing Spider-Man 3 was taken away from us way too soon. Even if you say the second movie is bad, there's no telling if the third movie couldn't have been better, alright? So, shush. Anyways, other than that, moving on, all the fights happen. Andrew reconnects with Electro, and he's like, I thought Spider-Man was black and stuff. And he's like, hey, there gotta be a black Spider-Man somewhere. I know that's right at the end of the battle, but shush. He also fights the Lizard, and he's like, hey, get cured. Welcome back, Connors. Then you switch to Toby's. By the way, Doc Ock isn't really evil anymore. He's like, oh, I guess I'll help. he punches a couple things here, slides in a couple places there, and he's like, hey, Doctor, how you doing? And he's like, Peter. Hi. Essentially, after you go past that, you skip to the most important fight, which is Peter versus the Goblin, which was cool, because you remember back in the interview where Peter said, well, Tom, rather, I should say. Anyway, Tom comes in and says, alright, so you know that, the Spider-Man PS4 video game? I'm gonna do some, cool moves from there. And he's like, oh, so which one's he gonna do? And he's like, wait and see for the film, mate, wait and see for the film. And then eventually, he does some cool things, which I might show some parallels here, maybe not, I don't know. But essentially, he does some cool moves, and at the end of it, he's like, I freaking hate your face, Goblin. And Goblin's like, haha, I'm evil, so I laugh, I can't do an evil laugh, so that's the best you'll get from me. And eventually, Peter's like, I'm finally sick and tired of your face. You killed my aunt. Something else. He grabs the glider. Freaking does a freaking front flip. He's like freaking. And then Toby steps in out of nowhere. He's like, hey man, you can't do that. But he doesn't actually say anything. He just stares at him. Like literally, he's like. I know it's really awkward. That's what it was like. He's just like. He just held it back. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie. In the movie, obviously it's less cringy than they're making it out to be. But it was a really cool moment because he's like, you killed my aunt. Toby's like, you can't freaking do that. Like, if you're wondering why I'm doing that, weird back blown out thing, he got freaking stabbed in his spinal cord. Which once again, if you've seen any reviews, you already know that. And everyone's like, what the fuck? How can you do that? How can you do that to Toby? You brought him back to kill him? No! What the fuck? Afterwards, after the Goblin is dealt with, because, they cure him and stuff, he's like, Andrew comes in, he's like, you gonna be okay, man? He's like, yeah, I've been stabbed before, I'm fine. Also, if they kill me off, everyone's gonna hate it, so I'm alive. So anyways, eventually after that, you get to the end of the movie, where everyone's like, oh hey, everyone's all disappearing. They all hug, it was a cool scene. They all hug and stuff. And then Doctor Strange is like, everyone's coming through and I can't stop them. And Peter's like, but what if you make everyone forget me? And he's like, but that's kind of evil. And he's like, I don't freaking care, I got like friends, man. So Strange does the spell, everyone forgets Peter Parker. Everyone teleports back to the universe. Then Tom goes to the donut or coffee shop where MJ works. He goes, he's like, I'm gonna tell her. He's like, I'll find you at the end of the Statue of Liberty fight. He's like, I'm gonna tell her, I'm gonna find her, I'll tell her I love her. We can be back together. And then, as movie tropes do, he's like, a band-aid? That means she hurt. That means I hurt her. No. Once again, I'm making it much more cringy than it's actually made out to be in the movie. But essentially, he tells himself, I'm the reason these people keep getting hurt. So he's like, I'm not gonna tell her. He gets a coffee. He's like, you excited about being at MIT? And she's like, yeah, which is weird because I'm usually always disappointed. He's like, yeah, you're depressed. Bye. Obviously, I'm making it out worse than it tends to be. But that's essentially the end of the movie. Basically, live-action Spider-Verse tied into Tom Holland's third movie, which leads into a pretty cool ending suit. People say it looked like this, but there hasn't been an official HD render released as of the recording of this video. So they're saying it looks like that. Hopefully it does, because I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty cool. I didn't really like his spider emblem ever. I'm like, why is it a pentagon? So essentially, he's getting a cooler spider emblem. And the thing that got me the most hype about this film, even after watching it, was there was talks, because of how much stupid money this movie made, that Andrew and Toby, don't worry, and Toby might be coming back for multiple projects. I'm just like, that brings a tear to a grown man's eye. I'm like, number one, Amazing Spider-Man 3 can happen, and depending on who directs it, now that they know all the problems with the previous, they can make it so much better. Number two, he can maybe be in the Secret Wars event that's coming up, maybe, and if not, Miles Morales comes in. And here's a little rant I want to do really quickly before I end the video. Number one, Miles Morales, right? His last name's Morales. My last name's Morales. Well, technically my second last name. I'm Hispanic. I have 6 last names. I know it's a whole thing. But anyways, my last name's Morales. His last name's Morales. He's mixed. I'm mixed. His dad's black. My dad's black. He's Puerto Rican. My mom's Puerto Rican. We're both brown. We both have brown eyes. Our last name both Morales. Essentially, what I'm trying to get at by this is Marvel. If you need a live action, Miles Morales, I know I'm most likely not going to get picked because no one's really going to see this video, but, I have a business email. Feel free. I'll cut my hair. I'll shave. I know I look a lot older than him, but we're actually the same age. We're both 17, I'm pretty sure. We're both around the same height. He's 5'7", 5'8", I'm 5'8", 5'9". We're both close enough. Like I said, all I'm saying is, this can go. I mean, I like my hair, but be in live action Miles, that'd be pretty freaking cool. Once again, it'll most likely not happen, but gotta put your hat in the ring if you want anything to happen. So, feel free to send this clip to any Marvel reps you care about. That's the end of the movie. Hopefully all of you enjoyed, because I'm not gonna lie, like everyone says, it's the greatest movie of all time. It's a Spider-Man movie. I'm not gonna lie. For me, I never had the same rating scale that everyone else had. Everyone else was like, Spider-Man 2, best movie of all time, oh my god, and I never was like that. My favorite Spider-Man movies before this one came out was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, because of course it is. Then it was The Amazing Spider-Man. And I know a lot of you are gonna be like, what the freak, that wasn't even that good of a movie. Well, excuse me, princess, for having my own opinion, but that was my second favorite movie. Now the order is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, just a little bit, just by a little bit. So if I give Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse a 100 out of 100, I give Spider-Man No Way Home a 99 out of 90, or a 99 out of 100. So it's super close, just just a little bit more is what it needed. So number 3 would still be Amazing Spider-Man, which I give like a solid 95, because, you know, I love the performances. I'm one of the few people who actually really liked the first suit, I'm not gonna lie. And, like, it looked really good in some angles, even if it looked really bad in others. So yeah, that's that. All I'm here to say is, great movie. I'm hoping that Andrew finally comes back. You know, if I'm ever so happening to be Miles, that'd be pretty freaking cool. Once again, despite the fact I have no acting experience though. So that may be, you know, a wrench in my plans. But anyways, this is the end of the video. Hope you liked my liquid garbage review. I'll try to do better, despite the fact, you know, I've recorded this 7 times, so I don't really want to re-record it, but if this is the part you see, then obviously, this is only a message for me. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. If you want me to do more movie reviews, get this to 20 likes, you know. Also, if you watched to this part, which I doubt you did, because, you know, it's all disjointed, leave in the comments, Andrew was pretty cool. Why? Because he was pretty cool. Or you can just leave, Toby was that guy. Leave any of those things in the comments down below, and I'll know that you stayed to this point, which I know most likely no one will, but for those of you who do, that's pretty cool. This video is being recorded on the 22nd. I'm hoping that it gets out on the 22nd, but just in case it doesn't. Christmas, just a week away. Wow, I cannot believe the events that are...
Christmas is in a week! Woohoo! I am so happy about this information. Christmas, just a week away. Oh, wow. Can you believe it? Christmas, just...
I'm bad at doing memes, guys. Anyways, Christmas is coming up, is what I'm saying. Obviously, I'm not going to be recording videos there. I will be recording some things on Christmas Eve that I will later release on the 26th. 6th. Listen, anyways, that'll happen. All I'm saying for that is Vlogmas is still continuing, despite the fact, you know, I made it like super short, but I'm really bad at making videos, guys. Just leave a like and leave. Bye.